liaison, making home visits for those students who are chronic absent. So I'm very excited about that. Our school climate, once again, these are our numbers for our suspensions. Currently, we are at 53 students, a significant decrease from last year's end of the year. Some of the things that we are doing are investing in restorative practices. We have ongoing PD for that. We've also engaged students more in a focus on relationship building in the classroom and with teachers in the peace circle. So some of those things certainly contribute to the reduction in those behaviors that lead to suspensions. ELA baseline data. I share here not just our 3s and 4s, which is what we're typically used to identifying as those who are proficient. What's different with receivership is that the state will now look at the reduction of students who are labeled level 1. So I grouped where we are in terms of levels 2, 3, and 4 over the past 3 years. And we can see that there has been a drop. So 37% was last year's results in our ELA state assessment. What's different about this year is that there is no option for opting out. If a child opts out of the exam or a parent requests their child to opt out, that child will receive a level 1 score, and it will count against the child as well as the school. Now, there's been a lot of controversy over the years about the Common Core test. I understand the parent's position, but there's absolutely nothing that I can do to argue at this time against what the state has set out for our school. I could only share with you what the change has been moving forward. We have a lot of children that may have been used to opting out at their elementary schools that will be recorded in their permanent record moving forward, and it will count against our school. Our goal is to reduce our number 1s. So parents, my philosophy is say yes to the test. I don't know if you've ever seen the show Say Yes to the Dress, but we're saying yes to the test. And we do have amazing teachers and support staff that are here to support the family and getting through those assessments. So our math baseline, we can see that we've dropped from last year, but that's where the state is looking, 19%. That's our baseline. So moving forward, it's going to be projected beyond that, and I'm positive that we're going to get those gains. Science is new. Typically in the past, ELA and math were used as the assessments for schools, and science was a safety net. Now beginning this year, it will count equally as math and science. I'm sorry, math and ELA. And so we can see here that we have some increase, supporting, and it's only given at grades 4 and 8. What's not included in our targets for the state, but I wanted to share here because it's one of our hallmarks of our school. And that's our 7th and 8th grade, actually our honors program is 5th through 8th grade. And so our 8th grade students who are in the accelerated program take algebra, living environment, and the 11th grade U.S. history and government course. That's typically given in New York State in Rochester at the 11th grade. And we can see the results from 2017-18 in algebra, and our living environment, which is biology, science, and our social studies, U.S. history, and government. We will continue to offer those high school credits, and students successful in those areas do receive high school credit. So we will continue that, and what we added this year was actually the 7th grade math class, actually taking the algebra as well. So next year, those students will take geometry. So we really have a college-going culture. Despite the receivership designation, we do have high standards for students in our classrooms. Now, what's next? This is where you all come in. Because I can't do it alone, the teachers can't do it alone, the parents can't do it alone, and certainly our students can't. So we all have to come together, and this is where we're going to do this to create our new plan. Our current comprehensive school education plan has 6 parts. The first and second part deal with leadership. The first part I put in parentheses because in Tenet 1 in our school plan is what the district leader, the superintendent, the deputy superintendents, that's their plan. Starting with Tenet 2 are the school leaders, myself, Mr. Dorsey, Ms. Brown, the social workers, counselors, those who make the instructional decisions for the school under school leadership and practices. Tenet 3 and 4 is what happens in the classroom. What's the curriculum? We are an IB school. That's not going to change in terms of our receivership status. As a matter of fact, that's going to be to the forefront as a hallmark for us. And teacher practices. What are teachers doing? What are students doing? What are they doing together? What happens when that door closes and the teacher is engaged in instructional practices with their students? And 5 and 6 is the social emotional health. And for many of you who've had personal conversations with me, I've said it more than once that I really wish for 7th and 8th grade, the only thing we can do is teach social behavior, because sometimes the academics is secondary when they come in the classroom because there's so many middle school hormonal, social issues that are at the forefront. But it does become important for us to address those equally as we do the instruction. So Tenet 5 deals with that. How do we as a school support learning in the classroom? And Tenet 6 involves the family and community engagement. How is the school, or what can the school do better to include the family and community as we move forward in improvement? So Tenet 2, system structure, student center, instructional leadership. What am I doing as a principal that makes decisions for the school community and our students that supports instruction? So what we as school administrators can do to create the culture of success. So when we transition to the cafeteria, when you sit with those in Tenet 2, that's the question you're going to be discussing. I need to hear from you.